just got to get something off my chest when it comes to retirement and financial planning. Sometimes I feel like I'm Rush, and the rest of the financial planners are Kiss, and the Rush versus Kiss saga. I don't want to say versus, but so the old legend goes, old lore, yeah, days of yore, days of lore, days of yore, right? But the old lore is that Rush was opening for Kiss after Kiss's second album, I think. And Kiss has already started hitting the big time. And Gene Simmons, essentially, I don't know, but the rest of the guys, I'm sure the same thing. They were just all partying like it's 1999. And there's an article, an interview with Gene Simmons saying he wanted to get Rush hooked up with some ladies, if you know what I'm saying, because Gene Simmons was getting jiggy with anything that moved, apparently. That's what it sounds like to me. And anyway, so he's like, come on, man, come on, boys, let's go party like it's 1999. And Rush said, nah, we're not interested. We're going to go back to the room and practice. After they got off stage, we're going to go back and practice. We're going to work on our trade. And that's how I feel. This isn't trying to be cocky, but Kiss had his own, I love Kiss. One of the first albums I got was Rock and Roll Over, I think is what it's called, Rock and Roll Over. I think it might have been the third album. And then they had Dynasty, I think, which is horrible. Maybe, I can't remember. Anyway, I think Rock and Roll Over came out in 1978 or something like that. And I was 8 years old, dude. I very much like Kiss. We used to say in lunch line, hey, who's your favorite Kiss? And be Peter, Chris, Ace Frehley, Paul, and Gene. And no one liked Paul and Gene. We always liked Peter and Ace first and foremost. And then some kid, I don't like Peter anymore. I like Ace. Like, what? It was funny. I just freaking love Kiss. But they're an entertaining band. Entertainment. That's what they did. And absolutely nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all wrong with entertaining. That's why they got all the chicks, man. Rush, on the other hand, was a student of their trade, a master of the profession, of the business. And I'm sure Rush had plenty of ladies too, if you know what I'm saying. But it's just like I don't know. I've watched a number of interviews by him. I love Rush. The 80s stuff didn't do that much for me, but I'm a big fan, long time. But I'm sure that getting chicks wasn't their top priority, if that makes sense. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. And it's kind of like in my business, retirement planning is, people. There are a lot of guys and ladies out there whose number one job is to entertain. Not entertain like, oh, let me tell you a joke, but just be like, no, we got this idea, this is going to work, just basically top shelf stuff. Not digging deep, though. Top shelf, basic stuff, just to make you, essentially feeling good. And nothing wrong with that. Just not deep divers, not deep thinkers. And their job is, like Gene Simmons, is to raise money. Gene Simmons wanted to make money to get chicks. These guys' jobs, frankly, are to raise money by bringing assets under management. It's just that simple. And just not students of the business. I know this sounds like I'm bashing. I'm not. I'm just trying to say, well, I guess I am, because it bothers me, man. I'm like, dude, you're in charge of people's assets, and you don't have a keen gauge of the business for which you're in. I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, how do you? Oh man. Anyway, and so Rush, on the other hand, said, "No, man, we just played in front of 3,000 to 5,000 people. We could have done better. We're gonna go practice, and we're gonna do it again the next night. Do it again the next night. Do it again the next night." And I just want to ask, like, the KISS version of retirement planning, like, how many actually financial planning books, not just financial planning, but just books do you read? Like, literally books. And I know that sounds like, oh, it must be nice for you to say because, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but books are where the information is. YouTube videos isn't it? I mean, YouTube videos are helpful, but books are where you get the true information because when you're reading, it does something that noggin of yours to make it sink in. And I just want to know, like, how many books do you read? And what, because I don't think people read that much anymore. And people in my profession hold themselves as professionals should be reading. And not just financial planning books, lots of books of all sorts and sizes. We talk a lot with my clients about the Millionaire Next Door, but I forgot the guy's name who wrote that. A great book. That shouldn't be the fundamental book you read of your career, if that makes sense. I mean, there's so much more regarding taxation, financial planning. It's just, never mind just basic, a curiosity about learning. That's ultimately what it comes down to. It's like with Rush. They obviously had a curiosity about learning. It's funny, Gene Simmons said he didn't like the way Rush went in the 80s. And I didn't actually, as a music preference, that wasn't the synthesizer stuff never did much for me. But he said, yeah, he liked the more meat and potatoes, straightforward rock and roll, like from Working Man. That was before Neil Peart, whatever his name is. I think it's Peart, you know. Anyway, that was before Neil Peart came along, and that was just basic, straightforward rock and roll. And Gene Simmons said he liked that better. And I 100% agree. I like that kind of rock and roll better. But Caress of Steel is a great album. What's the one that came after? I can't remember. But a couple of 1970s albums by Rush was freaking fantastic. The 80s didn't do that much for me. Anyway, so it's kind of funny because Gene Simmons and I would agree on the music. It's kind of like what happened with David Lee Roth and Van Halen, by the way. Van Halen wanted to go more. Eddie Van Halen wanted to go more to the progressive rock, a la Rush, and Eddie Van Halen just wanted to be straightforward rock and roll. And I like the straightforward rock and roll more than the progressive rock. I don't like Dream Theater. I mean, I can't say I hate them. They bore me. All that like older Chicago stuff. And I just, obviously the 80s, when Kiss had Dynasty, that album, I just wanted to jump off a bridge and drop an anvil on my head because that was horrible. But I like the straightforward rock and roll too. Anyway, be it as it may, Rush said, no, we're going to play what challenges us. And I respect that. It doesn't do that much for me, but I respect it. And that's kind of the way I am in financial planning is I say, I don't want to leave any stone unturned, if that makes sense. And that's not to say other people aren't. I just my experience in this as a professional financial planner is a lot of people just don't. They're just like and again, this isn't to bash people. If anything, is to encourage them to open a book, man. I don't care what the book is. Be it Electrodynamics by Junichiro Fukai. I haven't read this book yet, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Look at Big Al Einstein. Wow. Lawrence, huh? Lawrence, your boy Lawrence. Things shrink. The Lorentz contraction with Fitzgerald. You could read Tom Wolfe, The Kingdom of Speech, where he just destroys Chomsky and he destroys Darwinism. Just tons of stuff you can read. The Baxters of Maine, Downey's Visionaries, just books on top of books. And this isn't to make me sound so smart. I guess I'm trying to. Well, whatever, man. You be you. But it's just. When was the last time you actually read a book that's anything more than just like sports page or politics? That's just dopamine rush, but it doesn't do anything. It's like it's an empty carbohydrate, that stuff. When you just, dive it into your brain waves to advance the profession of being a professional and a well-educated, well-read professional financial advisor. And if the answer is you don't read much because it's boring, see, that's a problem, man. It's like Gene Simmons said, I'd rather get jiggy with all these ladies on the tour as opposed to practicing. Where Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and I think it's how I say his name, and then Neil, they did that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, it bothers me. Always has. I don't know why. I'm not bothered because the entertainers of the world get more money. That doesn't bother me. I see people on YouTube get more views than me. I'm like, I'm like, oh, that's weird, but it's fine. I don't sit there and say, because it's just this is a different channel, man. My channel is more geared towards things that interest me, which are not just basic, straightforward financial planning, but diving a little bit deeper into that stuff. Like, what is the cause of why people are afraid to retire? What can we do a little bit differently to make people see the light at the end of the tunnel so they don't have to keep working a crappy old job? And a lot of that, and then on top, I'm going to interview this guy on tomorrow night, which is going to blow your mind away. 8 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday night. My wife is out of town, so we're going to do a live stream. It's going to be great. You're going to very much enjoy it. It's going to rock your world historically. I'm just telling you right now. But why? It's just a lack of interest, a lack of curiosity is what it is. It's just a lack of curiosity. And I don't think it's just my business. I think it's a populace as a whole just tends to. It's almost like you're cursed with a curiosity that most people don't have. And it's a cursed. It's a curse and it's a blessing at the same time. Just in my realm, though, I wish more financial planners would be. I say it more like me, and less following Jim Cramer, for instance. I just wish to dive a little bit deeper into details of various topics, and sadly you don't have to, and you can still make money. I don't like that so much. Love your thoughts. We'll see you.